Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at Role Player Adventures. And quick disclaimer that I was sent a review copy of this one. I really enjoyed the prototype I got to play of this one back when it was on Kickstarter, and I'm a huge fan of choose-your-own-adventure games in general. Does this one make the cut in its final version, though? Let's find out and get to the list. First at number 5, I'm going to start off with a mix, although this could be the number 1 point for some people, and that's the value you get out of the game and the replay value it has. So in the core set, you have 11 main scenarios and 1 side quest, and they're somewhat replayable. The core facets of the story will stay basically the same, but you make a lot of choices that cause things to branch in different ways. And I'll say, at least for me, someone who's a bit of a completionist with these kind of things, I'm definitely going to play through at least 2 times, maybe 3, and I could go higher if I find other groups to play with, whereas if I keep on playing with the same people, I imagine it would get more stale. But the other big thing, and I mentioned this a lot, is you have to ask yourself if you can trade or sell this game. If you play through it 2 or 3 times, and then get back most of your money, that is an amazing deal. But if you don't have opportunities to sell or trade in your area, or you don't like letting go of games, then you might find this one not living up to its value. But I'm walking up to a pro for my number 4, something I just mentioned, which is the choose your own nature of the game. And this is something that I think they did super well. I'd compare it favorably to The Witcher 3, which is well known for really excellent quests, and that's mainly because of the gray moral area. They don't make it obvious who's bad and who's good. They don't make it obvious which choice is the quote-unquote right choice to make, which adds to the replay value I just mentioned, and also makes the world feel more alive, makes your choices feel more agonizing. Definitely, again, with me being a big choose-your-own-adventure fan, they did a bang-up job on this one. But I'm going down to a full-on con for number 3, and that's the balance in the game. And this is mainly focused on the dice test, which I'll mention in their own point in a moment, but the game doesn't do a good job of ramping up difficulty. You kind of level up faster than the game does, and that's even when I've played on the legendary difficulty they include to make things tougher. It's still not enough, and you'll often find that you are passing every test the game throws at you. And something else I want to include in this part of the discussion is the player count balance. With only 1 player, you're playing a ton of cards, but especially early on, you won't have enough variety to pass tests consistently. And with a bunch of players, you're each playing so few cards that you might not feel as involved as you would like. So I would say this one is probably best for 2 or 3 characters. But the bigger question I think you need to ask yourself is whether you will mind passing almost every test consistently. I don't mind because I like the story, and honestly, if I failed a lot, I might be frustrated that I wasn't really progressing it the way I'd like, but people who want a big challenge aren't really going to find it here, especially in the later scenarios. And my number 2 is closely related to this. I mentioned them already, and those are the dice tests. And I was honestly going back and forth on this, whether it's a mix or a pro for me. I'm going to call it a pro kind of leaning mix for now. But the negative side of these is, as I already mentioned, the balance isn't quite there, and the test can also get fairly repetitive, drawing dice out of the bag, using a few cards, rinse and repeat over and over and over again. But the thing that pushes this barely to a pro for me is that the puzzle is always fun. The puzzle is always fun. Yes, you're almost always going to figure out a way to pass the test, but it's pretty much never obvious how you should do so. You have to communicate a lot among the players, figure out which cards you can each play, figure out what resources you have to spend, maybe making the next test a little bit tougher. So yeah, personally, I find these tests pretty fun, even though it's kind of the same thing over and over. But finally, I'm ending with a huge pro, which is the story in this game. This is probably the best written choose-your-own-adventure story I've ever played, or the best written adventure board game story I've ever played. I think both of those would be true. The quests you go on, the maps you explore, the characters you meet, choosing whether they'll live or die. They have personality, they have tons of variety. It has an incredibly epic feeling, more than you usually get in these kinds of games. It is just such a winner, and I never mind reading this stuff out loud to my son, for example, when I'm playing. It's always fun. It's always evocative. I mean, really, this is an incredible achievement. Usually these kind of adventure narrative things have so-so ho-hum writing. This is not the case here. I was fully enthralled in every adventure. So overall, Role Player Adventures is a big recommend if you can sell or trade it on, or think you might get the chance to play it with multiple groups, if you like choose your own adventure, if you like great narrative and storyline in a big sprawling fantasy epic, and also if you like quick puzzly gameplay with those dice tests and playing your cards. But on the other hand, if you want endless value, if you don't think you can get rid of your copy after you're finished with it, if you want really good balance and incredibly tense, challenging gameplay, Role Player Adventures might let you down there. And if you haven't already seen it, Colin and his wife filmed a playthrough. Click above to watch that. They might do more adventures, we'll see. But either way, good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.